Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
Hello and welcome. I was supposed to have a one shot. Great, here we go. Hi, I'm Gazbot. This is Action Activate. And in This is Action Activate, with me as usual is Big Dawg Defender. But he's not here because he is on some sort of family vacation trip, real life thing. Let me adjust my camera here. Anyway, it's early. It is like 7:30 a.m. and I just watched Dino Fury Season 2, Episode 1, which is entitled Numero Uno. Sorry about the camera movements. I'm half asleep still. So let me throw this up here. Yes, on Netflix exclusively now, as we all know, and much easier, hopefully, for everyone. I know there are people that don't have Netflix, but Nickelodeon was so hard to watch, at least for me, like getting up early in the morning, etc. Regardless, it's out. I'm going to talk about it solo, just to hit the ground running. Last time for season 1, this season 2, I think I said that. For season 1, Big Dawg and I did separate reviews, and so I guess we're doing that again for the first episode. I'm not gonna play it, but I am going to have this to refresh my memory and to show you what I'm talking about. Now, right off the bat, the last episode, we were very disappointed for a variety of reasons that I'm not going to get into. You could watch the review of the previous episode. One of my broader complaints was that as a season finale, it didn't work for me as a season finale to want to like get everybody to watch the next season. That being said, this episode, I think, did a great job of being a first episode of a new season, both in terms of picking up where it left off and showing that a little bit of time had passed, and in terms of engaging with new viewers that maybe never watched Power Rangers, or at least didn't watch this season before. Like maybe, it's on Netflix and it popped up and they watched it. It did a good job of kind of reintroducing the characters a little bit. Had a good, deluxe morphing sequence, had some Zord stuff, talked about what had happened before and what's going on. So I think this was a very good first episode of the season / first episode that somebody could get into. Look at that face. Oh my goodness, an explosion. I hope I would make that face. I think I'd be more like, and arguably she's scared, but it's just, that's funny. Let me see. Yeah, it's just for a split second, but that was good. So we have this clown monster, and here comes Zato. I mean, obviously this is all Sentai footage because it's very, very Japanese stuff. Zato is blasting across these roofs. Very exciting intro. And again, like I was saying, it's a good return. Like, here we come, blasting through, still taking care of business. There's Sporex out there, and we're doing it. And the other Rangers show up, and they just house this guy. It's just immediately destroy him. And they even talk about, that was only 3 minutes. And so it does a good job of showing, okay, they've still been going after the Sporex beast, and they're like a well-oiled machine now. They're just blasting through it. Zato's doing awesome, cool stuff. The whole team's there to back him up. They get the Sporex, and then Amelia shows up late. And they also cover that really quickly. Like, late again because of Buzz Blast, and Jane and Jay Borg are off. Now, for a minute, not here, but jumping ahead a little bit because they talk about some other secondary characters that aren't around. I thought this was them writing Jane and Jay Borg out. I thought they were like, well, that's it, They do come back at the end, spoilers, but so then they make a couple jokes, and that's the end of that scene. But again, very good opening, and I was like, I had a very good feeling about that. Then we cut back to Buzz Blast, and we see Chase. Wait, now is Chase the actor or Javi? Javi. We see Javi playing music. So we've talked before about how they're always at Buzz Blast. Do they work there? What's going on? So him having some reason to be there, playing some music for her new show, which is some sort of Mysteries of the Unknown thing, which is consistent with her character. Now that she's running things, of course, she would have that show. But we're also seeing that she is swamped with tons of stuff going on. I get what they're doing. It's like a montage of like, and I need this drink, and what are you doing? And here's this, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't love, though, that there was a scene being filmed that she runs over and she's like, action. Like, she's the director as well. Couldn't the camera operator or any of the people on the crew there have said action? I think in addition to a lot going on and being overwhelmed as like a first-time manager, for lack of a better term, also she seems to be a bit of a micromanager and not good at delegating. I think, again, Jane and Jayborg came back at the end, but I was thinking this was setting up a thing where she's going to have to learn to let go of responsibility a little bit and trust in her team the way she trusted the Power Rangers and stuff. That didn't happen. Maybe that'll come up later down the road for her, or maybe not. But I thought that's where they're going with this. And she did learn her lesson about priorities and focusing on one thing. So I guess that's the lesson they were going for. So this is her talking to Jayborg and Jane. I mean, like, we're going to be gone for a lot longer. We're on this balloon trip. Fine. Didn't bother me. Although I do keep coming back to Jayborg. Like, I'm trying to remember in like the first or second episode when they got her, I thought it was a thing where like the company approved her. I should rewatch it, but you can tell me in the comments. Why is Jayborg there? Like, how did they get her? Like, it was a gift. They bought her. It was corporate. But she was supposed to be an assistant for Jane, or she was supposed to help run the office. Either way, this is a murky area because is she sentient? Is she property? But it seems like she should be in the office is where I'm getting with this. Now we've seen her be a reporter and do every other thing, so I don't know what her exact job is. But I guess they're not on vacation. If they're on vacation, it makes no sense. But it's not a vacation. It's supposed to be like, oh, we're filming a series, so I guess it makes sense if it's work related that Jayborg could be with her, but I still come back to like, what was her primary function? And I didn't rewatch episode 1. So if you know, please tell me. But these characters have been inconsistent, so it wouldn't shock me if it was just more inconsistency. So they're out here. Oh, look, there's the Eiffel Tower. And back to Amelia. Oh man, how am I going to do this for several months more? Earlier, a guy walked by with a bunch of paint. We don't know why. And all like rainbow color paint. And she's like, hey, if that's going to be a mess, or take it upstairs. And somehow he managed to spill, and this isn't like a character we've seen before. I guess this is because Jayborg and Jane weren't there. They had to have something happen. Somehow he spilled it in such a way that got all over. Again, this is very cartoony, very Power Rangers, not realistic, but he spilled the paint, and I like that character in the back. Oh, got it all over himself. Still, I can't even. That's some good extra background acting. I like that. And then kind of laughing. And so what's interesting though is like, hey, can you call your pop-up? Because her pop-up is a custodian and a handyman and a cleaner and all that stuff. But it is interesting / odd that would be the way he would refer to pop-up. I mean, I guess maybe pop-up's like a character around town, around the office. But I guess they don't have a custodian or some sort of cleaning crew on staff, which I don't know how big a business or a building has to be to warrant that. But I would think this is big enough that they would either have their own or the property manager would employ them. Whatever. The point is, the fact that Pop-Up was the one that needed to do it was like, oh, okay. And then she says, well, no, he can't because he's getting his warts removed, which is like, again, kind of a personal thing, but everybody calls him Pop-Up. He's everybody's Pop-Up now, I guess. Okay. But she's like, I'll get a broom or mop or whatever, and I'll do it. Again, micromanaging because, okay, Pop-Up can't do it. Call a different cleaner, call someone else, or if you don't have it in the budget or you don't, for some reason, want to bring somebody in, how about the guy that made the mess or anybody else, any of the people lower than you on the totem pole? The boss isn't usually the one that's like, oh, you made a mess. Let me clean that up. So again, while they did a good job teaching her the lesson of focusing on one thing and having your priorities about the Rangers or whatever, there could have been a lesson about, delegating. So now we're back to base. Somebody commented, luckily I did not watch the trailer or the opening credits for this season before going into it. And I didn't even watch the opening credits for this episode because often there's spoilers in them. But I did see somebody on Twitter this morning before I watched it commented, hey, did Netflix have a hand in the production more than just airing it? Because it does seem like the production values are a little better this season, at least so far. I mean, this episode, I agree. The base is just like a little bit darker. I don't know. The whole thing just has a little bit more of a serious, polished tone. I can't exactly put my finger on it. Maybe it's the lighting, the pacing, the less comedy, less slapstick comedy. I'll put it that way. Going with why I thought Jane and Jayborg were going to be gone forever, we see Ollie talking to his mom, and she's like, oh, I'm in Japan. I got this new job, blah, 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 blah. And maybe we'll never see her again. I didn't dislike that character. I'm kind of fine either way, but I do like, there's something that Big Dog and I have talked about a lot in previous reviews. When there's something going on, you could fix it with a line of dialogue or a 2-second scene. So if she never shows up again the rest of the show, fine. I mean, nothing against the actress or the character, but they've explained why she's not there. They also explain why Jane and Jayborg theoretically might not be there. Going back to production, this is cool. This little star map they're looking at. And I like that they're all in the base, hanging out, doing different things. They're trying to find their home world, or at least Ion and Zeta are. And then we cut back to the Void Knight's base, all the Void Knight's destroyed, and we see Slither and Mucus trying to get into the locked room, and she's coming in like a wrecking ball, and I like how Slither just steps in, like, whatever, it doesn't matter, you're Mucus. I also like this joke right here, because I feel like this is a physics joke, where, you know, you drop the weight and it swings, and it's going to lose momentum, so it will never hit you. I mean, it's a famous thing, but there's one video I remember seeing of like a professor doing it where he like swings it and just stands there and he's like, and like he knows it won't hit him, but it's still, you know. Anyway, I like that. I thought it was a good physics joke. I did think for a minute that when she reformed, she was going to get hit, like she'd stand too close or something. But once again, Mucus's powers, I feel like she could be very powerful if they decided to go that way, which I know they won't because she's comedic relief. So Void Knight shows up as this like comic book style drawing on a, you know, okay. Generally, I like this episode. I have very few nitpicks. I was very happy with it. It was one of my more favorite episodes of the entire show. But I remember when this happened, I'm like, that looks weird. Is he like a ghost in the machine? And then it becomes a thing. Oh no, this guy bit whatever his name is. Who I like this cool design. It's weird that he's so digital, but I do like that he's got kind of like a skull face and like he's just a cool looking kaiju monster. Alien, whatever. I guess it's Sporix beast. That's what he is. But he is a kaiju. You know what I realized? Two things. One, it's early and I'm trying to get this done quick before I start my day. So I'm going kind of fast. And without Big Dog here to like bounce things off of or temper me or argue or agree, I'm just like, so this is what you get when you get a solo Gazbot, at least this early in the morning. When he came out, I thought, okay, he is an imposter, but then no, Void Knight's still talking. So is this some kind of scam? So later we see Void Knight show up in a human or humanoid, at least form. So what is this? Was Void Knight? If Void Knight's, it seems like Void Knight's armor was destroyed and his like morphing power was destroyed based on what we see later. But the humanoid inside, I say humanoid because we don't know if he's actually human, survived. And is wearing, you know, black, like long black leather jacket with like military stuff on it, which may or may not, I'm assuming will relate to who the character is and whatever. They also confirm that the woman in the tube, he says, my love, which again, could be a daughter or a sister or something, but no, I mean, it seems like it'd be his wife or his girlfriend or something, but I guess what I'm trying to wrap my head around was he some kind of digital imprint for a little while? And if so, how did he regain corporeal form prior to getting the suit of armor back? I don't know. So then we have these guys come. Oh yeah, they go to the library to get some books to help find Rathcon. She thinks her girlfriend's calling, but no, it's the digital guy. And he's like, oh, here we go. And I like that this fight didn't go as well because they, you know, again, they're this like well-oiled, polished machine fighting sporks that are just random sporks, not having any kind of leadership. This guy's got a bit of a plan, and he's not just brute force, and so it becomes a little bit more of a challenge. Ion gets thrown around a little, and this guy shows up, and it's funny, there was a long shot where for a second I thought it might have been Campbell Cooley, but then when we saw the close-up, I'm like, oh, that's not, but I do think he's a bit over the top. Wait a minute, that pot on him looks familiar. I think this might be some Slither guy, and it was, and he's complaining about his flower cart being destroyed. Up to this point in the episode, I have zero complaints. All of it's fine, some of it's really good. I'm like, what a strong first episode, and we're now 14 minutes in? Oh no, we're like 8 minutes in. This was my first. He's like, don't worry, we'll handle it. We smashed it. We'll take responsibility. I like that because they're heroes. They're good citizens, all that stuff that we expect from Power Rangers. But I thought they would start putting it together or say, we're going to send some people, then Demorph come later, something like that. But he's like, I have the fix-it key. Again, a MacGuffin key we've never seen before that could just do anything. It reminds me, I think it was the end of Superman 1, the original Christopher Reeves movie, where he just like turns back time and like he's like uses his eyes to like rebuild bricks, and it's just like, what? Like, I know you're a superhero and you want to help, but this makes no sense. How are your eyes rebuilding bricks? Anyway, that's what I felt like this was, because then he's like, here's the rebuild it key, and he swings his sword and everything just kind of reverses back, blah, 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 blah. And we had not seen it before, and it's fine. But when he said that, I was like, what? A fix-it key? Okay, whatever. And then of course the digital guy comes and steals the fix-it key, and then we cut back to base. That was one of a very few moments that made me go, huh, in the episode. And it wasn't super heinous. I understand they wanted a way to fix Void Knight's armor, it could have been set up slightly different or better. I don't know, just the fix it key, maybe the title, even if it was like a reconstruction energy, like I don't know, something just making that seem so goofy. And they're like, well, he can't do anything without Void Knight's sword because you can't use the key without a sword, and the only one they had was Void Knights, and we have it, so it's all good. And while they're talking about it, not Amelia, oh my gosh, I forgot her name. Green Ranger smartly realizes that, I'm sorry, I'm getting Hemos. They watch the security cam footage, which was smart because they said, oh, that's where the monster came from, that the Spork Beast came from. And they see, oh, look, it's a beast. Hold on. I'm missing stuff. Anyway, they realize that they're working with Slither and with a boss of some sort. They see them talking to someone on the thing that isn't like Slither. It's somebody above them. So like, oh, maybe it's Void Knight. But she sees that there's a glitch in the, I'm pointing here, but I should be pointing. Wait, if I wanted to, she sees, see for me, it doesn't look that. She sees that there's a glitch that she saw on the phone. And I was like, oh, good. And again, this was good writing because she sees it. And I'm like, oh, does she not realize what it is? Or is she not going to say anything? But she knows what it is. She doesn't say anything because she doesn't want to give away the plan and tells everyone, no, we're going to go destroy it. We're going to do this thing. We're going to set it up. And then afterwards, she covers it up. Arguably, is that enough? But whatever, good enough. And is like, we know what they're going to do, and we got to plan it. It was just good. It was good. She saw a clue. She acted on it in a way that took advantage of her knowing that knowledge, and her team sort of supported her. And I also like that some of them were like, what's going on? But Zeta was sort of like, yeah, I get it. I get what's going on here. So now back to the digital head of Void Knight, and they're setting up, they're like, they're just going to blow up. So they set up this fake bomb. I like this scene a lot where they're all bad actors, but I also think it's a little bit meta because they're calling out what they're doing in like a, isn't this goofy kind of way? But the stuff they're saying is very similar to where they're like, connect to Void Grid, like Void Grid, connect to Morphing Grid, activate interlocks, here come Red Ranger, energize, use, like they always like announce everything they're doing. And so it's very similar, like bomb set, I'm putting the sword in. Okay, I will do this. And like I don't know if that was intended, but it felt very meta to me. And Ollie turns out to be the worst actor. So Amelia's like, okay, let me get in here and help you. And she's doing a much better job. And she tells them to all pull back so that, be a more of a tempting target. But then when they do, she gets a call from Buzz Blast and unwisely decides to take it on speaker. And these guys show up and they're like, and they think, oh, they've fallen into the trap. But through her phone, the digital Spork Beast shows up, gets the sword. Amelia made a mistake. I'm okay with all this. Again, this is her learning her lesson, and it wasn't super egregious. She's theoretically doing what she needs to do. And who hasn't been like, okay, I can just put that call on speaker or look at that text real quick at a time maybe you shouldn't. So it's relatable. I guess the bad part is that she forgot that there's this digital Sporks Beast, which could have been faking it or using it to transmit through, but arguably could have come through the computer. The point is she made a mistake, but it was a believable mistake, and she felt immediately bad for it, took ownership for it, didn't like say, no, it's fine. She's like, yeah, I'm stretched too thin here. I'm doing too much, which again is very relatable to most people. Now they like, well, we still got to fight Slither and Mucus. So they do the full morphing sequence, which again is good. I don't want to necessarily need to see it every episode, but they do all the call outs and everything. Coming back from a season 1 break, this makes perfect sense. And he's but then I forgot about that. But then Slither and Mucus basically are like, yeah, we're leaving. I thought that was a pretty funny joke. Where is it? They do all their call outs. He's still in there. Oh, I guess I missed it. But yeah, they basically are like, peace out. And I thought that was pretty funny and appropriate because, well, again, why fight if you don't have to? But then he's in there and they're like, how are we going to fight him? An excuse to bring up the Zords. They do, the full thing, and they do the dimensional Zord thing and zap in there. This should be dumb, but it didn't bother me at all. It's very Gridman, very, in space. Like there's fine. Cyberspace is this other dimension, just like you could breathe in the moon. These are things that are established that I have no problem with. And they have this dimensional travel thing. So if there's a way they can get in there, like it's all explained. And I found this scene to be fun. I like the way everything was sort of digitalized and pixelized. I wish the Megazord had a little bit of that filter on it, is my only minor gripe, because that would have been cool to see. But he wins the fight. And there's no sporks, but then the laptop explodes and they get the sporks. Back to, maybe I'm ahead of myself with that. Back to base, we see Void Knight. Okay, so now we see Void Knight in corporeal form. My guess at this point is that he was in corporeal form the whole time, but he was communicating through the television with this image of the helmet because he doesn't want them to know he has a human face underneath or something, which we've had humanoid villains in the past, Rancic or whoever, And it's never been a thing where like the monsters won't follow the human or the humanoid looking person. But so it could be just that he doesn't want them to know he's not a sporks beast or a robot or a monster or something. But this lends credibility to like, oh, if they saw his face, they'd know who he was or make some kind of connection that he doesn't want them to make, maybe. So I kind of answered my own question there. I guess he survived the whole time, but didn't want them to see him either as a human or what his identity was, or I guess on a more base level, looking not powerful. Because without his sword and armor, they maybe could defeat him. But he gets the sword, he charges it up, he uses the fix-it key to fix the armor. I think the fix-it key is kind of silly, but it's cool that he fixed the armor. And he's like, okay, I'm back. And then he talks to his love. And then, now we cut back. Where's the sporks? It explodes. We're like, oh, well, that worked out. But then Void Knight, boom, here I am. And I hope this is the beginning of Void Knight taking a little more charge and being in the field a little more. Because as we talked before, it's a little inconsistent where he was sort of an absentee father. Then he was on the throne. Then he showed up, So hopefully this is the beginning of more consistency for Void Knight. He gets the sporks. He takes off. Now we're back to Buzz Blast. Amelia decides, you know what? I can't do this. I'm going to quit Buzz Blast. But lucky for, not quit Buzz Blast, but quit being in charge. But lucky for her, Jane and J-Board come back. I was fine with this joke. I saw them in the background. I'm like, okay. And I especially like this delivery where they're, well, okay. I don't love, wait, am I forgetting something? There was another moment where I said no. The fix-it key was a little goofy. There was one other thing I didn't love, but you know what? I can't remember, so it couldn't have been that bad. And hey, maybe the big dog will bring it up if he does a review or the next time we talk. But so Jane and J-Borg like explain all the things that went wrong with their green screen adventure, and it shows them over this volcano, and I'm like, well, how did they escape a volcano? What? Like, that's crazy. That went beyond the being silly. And what I like is Amelia's like, how did your balloon survive the volcano? And Jane says something along the lines of like, it didn't. It didn't. And that was great delivery from the actress, a great joke, a great line. And then they followed that up with, oh, we have all the footage. We're going to be editing for weeks. It's totally worth it. Look at that lady in the background, right? Where is she? Right there. She's like, I'm so excited. Sometimes these screenshot pauses are hilarious. So J-Borg goes to pick up the box and it just disintegrates. Let me see if I can get it here. Hey, we got it all right here. Don't worry. I'm J-Borg. Disintegrates except for the handle. What? That was the worst part of the episode. They stayed in an indestructible box. Oh, they got off the balloon because J-Borg had some rockets on her feet. And so I guess they flew down to the ocean and survived somehow. I guess the joke is kind of like in a cartoon where like a bomb goes off or something catches on fire and it's like a pile of ash that then crumbles 5 seconds later. I guess that's the joke. But so it was damaged by the volcano and they didn't know it and they got it all the way home and it was fine until the second she picked it up. And then the way it crumbled, it was a cartoon. It was a weird cartoon and it was unnecessary. But even if she opened it up and it was overheated, but I don't know, they said it was whatever. That was the worst part of the episode for me. But this episode was good. I would give it a B+ or an A-, especially considering a lot of the stuff that came before it. This, I feel like, this is a good direction. And I hope it continues in this direction for the rest of the season. If it gets better, great. But if it at least stays at this level quality, I'll be happy because on balance, better than what we've been getting the last couple episodes. And that's pretty much the end. So it's always weird to review an episode solo, but I was excited to watch it. We didn't know it was coming this soon, and I wanted to just get it out right away for a change because usually we're the late ones, and for the rest of the episodes we will be because we're going to be doing them once a week, whereas everyone else are probably going to burn through them. But at least for this one, I've had a good time. Hopefully, I wasn't too much of a motor mouth. But in the meantime, I have been Gazbot for Big Dawg Defender, who is not here today. And until next time, I will say to the power, and I'll look for end credits without him being able to help me. And there they are. Should I talk over the end credits by myself? Like, that's weird, right? That's weird. Okay. What if I just end them? Here's the new ending. Anyway, like I said, I don't know if we'll have a big dog or not. This is a weird ending. I'm just going to go. Bye.